Hey everyone, I hope you're all doing well. So without wasting any time, let's begin the story. My name is Emily Carter. I'm 27 years old, and I work as a nurse at a large hospital in Chicago called St. Grace Medical Center. Life at the hospital was always hectic. Emergency cases, long night shifts, exhausted doctors, crying families. After a while, you learn how to hide your emotions behind a calm smile. People often told me I looked more like a model than a nurse. I had long brown hair, green eyes, and a soft smile that patients seemed to trust instantly. But honestly, I never cared much about looks. My work was my whole world. At our hospital, the most respected doctor was Dr. Ethan Miller. He was 38 years old, tall, calm, intelligent, with a deep voice that somehow made every patient feel safe. Nurses admired him, patients trusted him, and even senior doctors respected him. I had been working with him for almost 2 years, but our story truly began on a rainy night shift. That night, the hospital was unusually quiet. Rain hammered against the windows while most patients slept peacefully. It was around 1:15 a.m. I was sitting at the nurses' station finishing reports when Dr. Ethan walked over holding 2 cups of coffee. Without saying a word, he placed one beside me. "You're still awake?" he asked with a small smile. I laughed softly. Nurses don't really get permission to sleep. He chuckled and sat beside me. For a few moments, all we could hear was the sound of rain. Then he looked at me and quietly said, "You look exhausted tonight, Emily." I smiled tiredly. "And you don't?" He leaned back in his chair. "My kind of exhaustion probably needs more than sleep." Something about the way he said it felt different. That night, we talked for hours. About work, about life, dreams, regrets, loneliness. And strangely, talking to him felt easy. After that, our night shifts became something I secretly looked forward to. Sometimes he brought me coffee. Sometimes I saved dinner for him after long surgeries. One evening while we were organizing patient files, he suddenly said, "You know, Emily, you're probably the strongest person in this hospital." I laughed. "And you're definitely the smoothest doctor here." He smiled. "No, I just say what's true." My heart skipped a beat. Weeks passed and we slowly grew closer, but we never crossed the line. It was always small things, lingering eye contact, quiet conversations, moments that felt too personal to explain. Then, one night, everything changed. A little boy was rushed into the ER after a terrible car accident. His condition was critical. Dr. Ethan and I worked side by side for nearly 6 hours trying to save him. By sunrise, the child was finally stable. The moment it was over, I sat down in exhaustion, trying not to cry from stress. That's when Ethan walked over and sat beside me. "You okay?" he asked softly. I nodded, but tears still filled my eyes. Then he gently placed his hand on my shoulder. "Emily, you spend all your time taking care of everyone else." He paused. "But nobody takes care of you." And somehow, hearing that broke me. I started crying quietly. For a moment, neither of us moved. Then he whispered something that changed everything. "I wish I had met you earlier." I looked at him in silence, and suddenly, reality hit me. He was married. He had a wife, a daughter. And no matter what existed between us, that fact would never change. I immediately stood up and left the room. After that night, I started avoiding him. Short conversations. No more late-night coffee. No more lingering smiles. But he noticed. Of course he did. A few days later, he asked me to meet him on the hospital rooftop after work. Cold wind moved through the city lights as we stood there in silence. Finally, he spoke. "Emily, I think I'm falling for you." My chest tightened, but before I could say anything, he continued. "But I can't leave my family. The words hurt more than I expected. "I don't want to lose you either," he admitted quietly. I looked down for a long moment before answering. "Dr. Miller, I can't become someone's unfinished love story." He stared at me silently, and deep down, I think we both understood that this was the end. A few months later, I resigned from the hospital. I moved to Seattle and started over at a new medical center. Life slowly changed. 2 years later, I got married. My husband wasn't a doctor. He wasn't rich or charming like Ethan, but he was kind, loyal, honest. And for the first time in years, I felt peaceful. Then one day, during a medical conference, I saw Ethan again. Older, calmer, more tired somehow. He smiled the moment he recognized me. "You look happy," he said. I smiled back. "I am." He nodded slowly. "That's good. You deserve that." For a few seconds, neither of us spoke. Then I finally asked, "And you?" He gave a small smile. "I've learned to live with my choices." That afternoon, we sat together and drank coffee like old friends. No tension, no guilt, no heartbreak, just memories. And sometimes, that's enough. Because not every love story is meant to last forever. Some people enter your life only to teach you what love feels like and what it means to let go before everything falls apart. And honestly, maybe that's what makes those stories unforgettable.